Moss David Posner, M-O-S-S, David Posner.
Rick Pineiro, P-I-N-E-I-R-O. My name is Rick Pineiro, and I'm a targeted individual. I'm a target of organized stalking, workplace mobbing, and electronic torture. Some people call it gang stalking. Also with electronic torture, some people call it electronic harassment. There are a few acronyms we're going to use here. The TI stands for targeted individual. Not to brag about my accomplishments, but just to establish some credibility. I served almost 10 years in the U.S. Army. During that time, I received 12 medals and was awarded Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year. There's a lot of online organizations that discuss or talk about organized stalking, but there is no organization within these groups. There's no direction. There's a lot of misinformation. There's no guidance on what us TIs can do to actually make a change in our own communities. The purpose of taking control of our communities, they control who's being stalked, who's being harassed, and actually, in some communities, they will control who actually lives in their communities. It's time that we take the responsibility and control of our own communities. And the way we do that is with local TI groups, targeted individual groups, where we make our own local groups in our own communities. There's power in numbers, and even if it's only two people, you can make a change in your own life and make a better life for yourself. We're starting a series of videos that will help TIs start organizing in the local groups. Right now I'd like to introduce Dr. Moss Posner.
Hi, I'm Moss David Posner. I'm a practicing internist, a medical doctor. I've had specialty training in cancer and hematology at the University of Southern California. I've been in practice for more years than I care to admit. And I'm also a targeted individual, or have been in the past. Rick and I met because there have been fora that allow people to make contributions, and we thought about it and realized that nobody's really doing anything about this problem outside of talking online and staying very busy. And because the state of the nation is equally impoverished, we decided that maybe we ought to ask ourselves, how are we going to help ourselves and how are we going to help other targeted individuals? And by way of background, I've written articles on this. You can find them online in the American Chronicle under my name, Moss David Posner, and I've written on other subjects. I also was in the military briefly. I had a couple of medals, but nothing like Rick has. And I have been very concerned because I found out I was a target as a result of the events that took place in 1970, which scared me half to death because I didn't know then what I know now. Over the years, the more I meet people who have been targets and the more I see what's happening in this country, the more I become absolutely convinced that the only way that we're going to solve the problems of targeted individuals as well as other problems is for people to take action in their local communities. That's where the strength is. And what we want to do in a series of videos is give you folks an idea of what we can do, what you can do to start to turn this around. And the first thing, the secret, is to take local personal responsibility in forming groups. I might say by way of explanation that what we'd like to do is give you some information, tell you how we think you can do this, and give you sources to look up what we're going to talk about to confirm in your mind that what we're saying is absolutely true. Once that being done, we will be willing to go down and meet with you and some members of your groups, if you wish, and try to help you go further with your organization. So again, our purpose is to try to help you get your lives back. I've seen enough young people who have been tortured, and there's no other word for it, and it makes me mad. And I don't like being scared, so I decided not to be. But there are a lot of TIs out there that are absolutely terrified. I am convinced that most online groups, it would be charitable to say they've been ineffective. I think it's much worse, and I'll talk about that later. But regardless of what you believe, if you are a target or you suspect yourself as being one, the only way you're going to dig yourself out is to form a local group, get one or two more people to join you, and we'll help you as well. So that's where we are with this thing, and we want very badly for you folks to do this.
Hi, this is Rick Pineiro and Dr. Moss David Posner. This is going to be Organized Stalking Survival Part 2. Today is May 10th, 2011. We're going to discuss a few topics about organized stalking, us forming local TI groups, and how to survive some of the tactics that these perps are pulling on us. The main thing we need to do, and each individual needs to do, is keep a daily log. You need to keep a journal of activities that happens on a daily basis. Log everything that you can. Names, dates, license plate numbers, pictures, videos, audio. Get yourself a good smartphone that has video capabilities where you can take pictures. It also has audio capability. I do this on a daily basis. I keep a journal from the time I get up until the time I go to sleep, and while I'm asleep, when the perps wake me up in mid-morning and early mornings also. Now you're going to be, they're going to try and deter you as much as possible from doing this. You're going to get all types of propaganda through the internet, or more perp activity, more harassment, more stalking, more electronic harassment or torture, I call it, instead of harassment. Don't let this deter you. Don't let it stop you. They want to stop us from reaching out. They want to keep us isolated. That's the worst thing you can do. Get out there and be as active as you can. Try not to let them control your lifestyle. I get out every day. I walk. I hike. I get among these perps. I don't let them control my activities or what I'm going to do. And then again, like I said, log everything that you can. These people don't like to have their pictures taken. And you have a right, if you're witnessing a crime, to take a picture, to videograph it, to photograph it, to audio tape it. You have a right yourself to record these documents. And that's my recommendation to what we can do as TIs. And keep your daily log and don't be deterred from doing this. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Moss Posner.
Hi, I'm Moss David Posner, MD. I was trained as an internist. I had training also at University of Southern California in cancer and hematology. How I became lucky and honored enough to become a victim, I'm not quite sure. Very often you never do find out. We can talk about that. That's a subject of an entirely different discussion. I just can't emphasize enough what Rick said. Do not think for one moment that these people cannot be beat. They can. And the people that they're sending to tell you, to follow you, are not as professional as you would like to think they are. Many of them are people who have no jobs or who are out on parole, which also makes them vulnerable. And you, by your own courage and calmness, and I can't stress this too much, will really shake them up. I have seen it happen time and time again. If you don't scare, they will. And keep that in mind. What Rick said about documentation, Rick is a military man. He's got medals and all kinds of stuff, half of which I don't even want to know. And he has learned the discipline. So let's be inspired by that example. Get up at a regular time, go to sleep at a regular time. If you get sidetracked, what I do is I carry around earplugs with me all the time. If I find I feel apprehensive, I just put them in. It calms me down immediately. If the perps make noise and try to distract you, put the earplugs in. Car comes by, take your camera out. Even if you're not using it, believe me, they will bolt. And if you get a chance to say something to them, if you can bring yourself to do that, you can make some offhanded, silly, dumb remark because they don't expect you to do that. The most important thing you can do is find one other person in your community, meet with them on a regular basis, and make it clear, either through tapes with a wonderful ability of YouTube and other facilities, to let people know that that's what you're doing. There are meetup groups. You go to the website, the meetup website, and form a group in your community. It's the best thing you can do. There is other software you can use to communicate with each other immediately. One of them is GroupMe, G-R-O-U-P-M-E. Look it up. It's a way of communicating instantly with other people. There's a lot more to this, but the important thing is don't lose heart. Meet regularly, take notes on everything, and write it down. Rick, do you have anything else you
Yeah,
want to throw in there?
I do want to mention, you need to remember that these perpetrators, these stalkers, harassers, they're the criminals. What they're doing is illegal. We need to document it. You need to photograph it, audio tape it, do everything that you can to record and document and keep a log of their activities, because what they're doing is committing crimes on a regular basis. Don't let them deter you. Don't let them intimidate you. And they're going to try everything they can to intimidate you. Stand on your own 2 feet, and you show them that you're not afraid, and that brings fear among them themselves. They don't like to be exposed, and the best thing you do, like I said, is walk right up to them and take a picture. I do. I'll walk right up to their face. I'll turn my smartphone on, turn on video, or I'll get professional photography equipment. I'll get that out, and I'll walk right up to them and shoot them right in the face with a camera, and you got to see the expression and watch them, get the heck out of the way.
Keep the faith. We'll be
Gang
back.
stalking is alive in this country, and the politicians are denying that it exists.
There are literally thousands of websites providing information about these crimes.
Sites that explain the truth about what's going on.
These are many sites that you should go and check out. Go to gangstalkingworld.com, go to topcovertwar.com, go to YouTube and check out Organized Stalking Informers.
Wake up!
Are you being stalked, harassed, and your privacy violated? Has your work and personal life been sabotaged or ruined and you don't know why? Are you experiencing trouble with your phone, email, and internet services? Are you being denied help from governing and city officials? You are not alone.
As many as 1 person per 100 are being targeted in North America.
Same tactics get thrown on this list, and
technological and community-based harassment. Gang stalking, or group stalking, groups of people stalking individuals.
street harassment.
This is exactly what is happening to me.
All over the world, people are sick of being subjected to organized gang stalking. Across the globe, people are watching in communities and neighborhoods. People watching. People listening. People sharing information. People filming individuals and vehicles, documenting, exposing organized harassment activities. Organized gang stalking and community harassment is a crime. There is nothing lawful about organized gang stalking and community harassment. It doesn't matter who's doing it or what their profession may be. All across America, people have decided enough is enough. The targeted are now targeting. People have decided it's time to crack the whip on organized gang stalking and community harassment. We will be watching, recording, exposing, and punishing those involved. Do your part to destroy organized gang stalking today. For more information, visit Organized Stalking Informers on YouTube at www.youtube.com/OSINFORMERS.
Again, this is Rick Pineiro with Organized Stalking. I'm here at Yosemite National Park. I am a TI. I live and work on federal property, and I receive organized stalking, electronic harassment, gang stalking, illegal surveillance, also workplace mobbing. Now, getting back to the tactics, these perpetrators will continue to use tactics, and a lot of it is standard operating procedure in a war-type environment. What you want to do is isolate your enemy, which they do to us. They isolate us. They make us financially strapped. They isolate us from our family and friends. And when they do that, then they can continue to harass overwhelmingly and use the noise campaigns and a lot of things which are common stimuli to extremes, which are going to continually aggravate us, keep us sleep deprived, and so forth. I know it's tough getting some sleep. A lot of nights I average 4 hours sleep, if that. Try to get out and exercise. I do work a full day. I get out on my days off. I hike, I exercise. I don't let these people control my life. Another thing I do when I go into a large store, my grocery shopping or department store, there are large stores where you get the organized stalking and harassment. The perps are just sitting there waiting for you. They watch your habits, they watch your purchases, so they know what you're going to buy, where you're going to shop, and they're already set up when you get there. And what I'll do is I'll walk up to a security guard. Last week I was in Fresno, and I walked right up to a security patrolling the outside perimeter of a store. I said, "Hi, my name's Rick Pineiro. I'm a targeted individual. I come to this store and shop quite frequently. While I'm in here, I am gang stalked, organized stalking, harassed. every time I come in here to extremes. And I said, I'm almost a 10-year Army veteran with 12 medals. I serve my country, and this is what I get here in public in Fresno. And this guy's mouth dropped open. He didn't know what to say, how to respond. And he goes, oh, well, I'm sorry about that, sir. I'm sorry about that. Is there anything I can do out here in the parking lot? I said, well, they don't mess with my vehicle here in the parking lot because of the cameras. And so I went into the store, looked for the store manager. I walked up to the store manager, said, hi, my name is Rick Pineiro. I'm a targeted individual. I get continually harassed by organized and gang stalkers in the store. I'm a repetitive customer. I come in here and shop on a regular basis, but I do not appreciate the harassment that I receive here. And she gave me a puzzled look. Didn't know how to respond. Kind of stared, like the deer caught in the headlights look, and just did not respond at all. And then finally said, well, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope this doesn't happen. And my God, that time there's very little harassment at all. I did notice the perps watching me observe my purchases, but I didn't get the handicapped people following me around, putting their vehicles in little carts in reverse, making the beeping noises, people bumping into my grocery cart, people actually blocking my aisle or my pathway and so forth, or items that I go to purchase being off the shelf. Again, there's a lot of different tactics we can use. But you need to network to get with other targeted individuals. I encourage that. Get with Freedom from Cohort Harassment and Surveillance, FFCHS, they're on the internet. Try and contact them, let them know where you're at. We'll try and get a hold of you. My name again is Rick Pineiro. My email address is r.pineiro, P as in Paul, I-N-E-I-R-O, 98 at ymail.com. Contact me and I'll see if I can put you in contact with other TIs in your area. We are making headway. We are getting more organized. We are getting some legal representation. It's not going to happen overnight, folks. I don't want to mislead you, but I do want you to network and contact other TIs in your area. Thank you for watching.
I'm Moss David Posner, and this is the third in a series of Organized Stalking Survival, so Part 3. Rick Pineiro, who usually is with me, had to leave early, unfortunately, and he regrets that, I'm sure. But we want to go ahead and make sure that we have a tape out for you folks so that we didn't forget you. By way of information, tonight we did have a meeting, and this is what we usually do every 2 weeks or 4 weeks, depending, is to get a tape out the same night that we have a meeting of the local targeted individuals groups. Now, there are a couple of things I want to tell you, but let me give you a little bit of background about the Organized Stalking Survival or Targeted Individual group that met this evening. We had 3 additional people come down in a carpool from the East Bay area who have been targets, and each one of their stories is another nightmare story. And each one of them is very credible. Now, my colleague Rick and I are very good at picking up on perps, and these people were not perps. They're the real deal. And the meeting went very well. They were just happy to be here for the hour and a half or 2 that they were here. As I look back, I wish we had spent more time with them, but unfortunately we couldn't. I want to tell you a little bit about the things we talked about in this meeting. Now, one of the things that is very important for people to remember is this. All of you have suffered as a result of this, whether it's psychological, physical, usually both. But what you have to remember is the more pressure that's being put on you, the more people that are telling you, the more aggravation that you're going through, tells you one thing that you need to keep in mind and never forget it. And that is these people are scared to death of you. Otherwise, they wouldn't be spending the time and the money to do all this to you. You're very important to them. I know that doesn't make you feel very flattered, but it's very true. They are spending a lot to keep this thing alive. Now, you might say, why are they doing this? They're doing this because of 2 reasons. The major reason is they are practicing finding out the ins and outs of mind control on groups and individuals so that they can keep who's ever left in this country under some sort of control. Now, I probably couldn't find a better audience that would appreciate that statement without thinking I was paranoid or weird than you folks, because you've seen paranoid and weird. This is no surprise. But that's what this is all about. Other cases, there are local police, FBI, and so forth, who have enough clout that they can pull resources to harass an individual that may have crossed them. But they're all part of the same club of misfits. They're all part of the same clown club. So just understand it from that point of view. You have more strength in being alive, in being able to watch this tape, in being able to understand what's being said, and being able to act on it. You have more going for you than these clowns have going for them. Because if they were in a similar position you are now, I'd love to see how long they'd last. I don't think they'd last very long. Think about that for a moment. I saw an interview between a guy who trains the Rangers, Army Rangers. And it was a documentary on TV. And the interview was asking, why do some people endure the survival training and other people drop out? Has it to do with physical endurance or training, intelligence? He said, it doesn't have to do with any of those things. He said, what it has to do with is attitude. If people can convince themselves that they can endure, and they keep talking to themselves, they call it self-talk. Come on, you can do it. Come on, you can do it. It makes all the difference in the world. I could say a lot more about that, and I will in the future. But I just want to give you a little bit of a pep talk here because you deserve it and you need it. We survive, that's what the name of this tape is, Organized Stalking Survival. We survive by the positive attitude, no matter what's happening. You can't make them go away, but if you're going to make them go away or lay off, ironically enough, the only way you're going to do that is not by giving in and saying, okay, I'll be good. That just encourages these clowns even more. You do it by saying, you know what, bring it on. I don't care. I ain't stopping. Because the more that you resist the temptation to give in, the harder it is for them. It's going to make it harder on them and easier on you, believe it or not. Easy for me to say, although I've been involved myself, so I think I'm qualified to comment. But I haven't been hit as hard as some of you. The other thing I want to tell you is be very suspicious of people you don't know. You can drive yourself crazy. There are things to look for. I'll be very honest with you. I am extremely suspicious of each and every online stalking or harassment group that exists. And I'm suspicious of them for the following reasons. One, years ago, when I first got involved with these groups, the moment I started to raise pointed questions, somehow the group leader or leaders found some excuse for forcing me out of the group. I've seen variants of this most recently. That's why I left the last group I was with. What better place to keep track of the victims and know exactly what they're doing? What better way to program them to be than to be the systems operator for an online group? That's where they get their information, and that's where they program you. The other thing about these online groups, they are very good at letting all kinds of garbage information in. You see these discussion threads. If you weren't schizophrenic before you started to read them, you will after, because they talk about everything under the sun and so forth, and it only aggravates the disorganization of the thinking of the people who are in the group. Third thing is, what they should be doing is showing you how to survive, not just, oh, that's a terrible thing. Well, you might try that shield, and I don't know about that. Well, what do you think? Nonsense. They should be giving you an online manual, how to survive government harassment. And we're getting together something like that for you guys. The important thing is, do not give in. Develop a routine every day, however crazy it may sound. Go to bed at the same time. If you can't close your eyes and you don't fall asleep, get up, get a glass of warm milk, go back to bed. If you don't fall asleep in 30 minutes, get up again. In other words, follow routine. Even if you can't force yourself to do something during it, but follow a routine. Next, take notes on everything. Take notes on everything, write everything down, carry a smartphone. If somebody gives you a hard time, you're not sure, just hold it up, punch the thing, and see what happens. Because one thing these people are scared to death about is exposure. And there are other techniques as well. There's just so much that we could go into. We don't have time to do it all. If you have any question, you can write to us. I'm Dr. Moss David Posner. Leave comments here on organized stalking survival. And I will be more than happy to answer any questions or comments you may have. So, good night, God bless, and don't give in to evil.